Hello children, how are you all? Okay, hope in previous video you understand the introduction part of Delhi Sultan, and through that two videos now I think you just got the brief about the lesson. So let us continue. In previous class we did till the circle of justice and you were learning about Tariq. So here keep the following additional details in mind. The author of Tariq lived in the city, mainly Delhi. Means those who were king appointed as a writer of Tariq, they used to live in city. Mainly they were living in Delhi and hardly ever in villages. They often wrote their histories for sultans in hope of rich rewards. Like in previous lesson you learn about prashastis, and brahmanas were used to write prashasti and they were given land grants. Here also this learned maid, the secretaries, administrator, they were writing Tariq for they were just hoping that they will get rich rewards from the king. These authors advise rulers on the need to preserve an ideal social order based on birthright and gender distinction. Means these authors of the Tariq, they used to give advice to the king that what about their birthright, what is the gender distinction. Their ideas were not shared by everybody because this is considered as a royal family's thing or court thing. So it is not a general thing. So each and everyone cannot get this thing. And Tariq writer also not write about the general people. They used to write about the kings, their battles, their bravery. So let us first understand the meaning of birthright. What is the meaning of birthright here in given in orange wording? Just look it. Privileges claim on account of birth means you got the birth in such family, so that privileges were claimed by that person. For example, people believe that nobles inherited their rights to govern because they were born in certain families. Nobles, kings, emperors, why they are having, they claim that inherited their right on government or on city because they born in certain families. So author of the Tariq, they will give the suggestions to the king related to their rights. Gender distinction, social and biological differences between women and men. Usually these differences are used to argue that men are superior to women. Right, girls, in civics also you are learning that from 12th 13th century in ancient time men women differences were not there, but in medieval period these differences grew bigger, and they were arguing that in holy books of Quran and it is written that men is superior than women. So Tariq authors were used to inform about this type of gender distinction, how to treat women in that era. They were suggesting kings about this. So one example of this gender distinction you can find in the story of Razia, and today I have got one video related to Razia also, so you will watch it later. In 1236, Sultan Iltutmish daughter, who was Sultan Iltutmish? You can see in that table 1 here. After means when Turkish ruler established their rule on Delhi after Kutubuddin Aibak, Samshuddin Iltutmish became the ruler and Razia was his daughter. Okay. In 1236, Sultan Iltutmish's daughter Razia became Sultan. The chronicler of the age, Minhaj-e-Siraj, recognized that she was more able and qualified than all her brothers. No doubt Iltutmish was having sons also, but he found that Razia is more capable. So he throned Razia after him. But he was not comfortable at having a queen as a ruler, because at that time society mentality was there that women cannot be noble, cannot be accepted as a ruler. Nor were the nobles happy at her attempts to rule independently, because Razia was very brave, she was very powerful, educated, but nobles were not accepting her as a ruler. She was removed from throne in 1240. So you can find description about the Razia in this also and in that video also, which I will attach with this description. Okay. Now the next topic is from the garrison town to empire. Garrison town means the town which was fortified by the rulers and how they expand Delhi Sultanate. Means the expansion of Delhi. Means Delhi Sultans were not only concentrated to the Delhi city, but they expand their rules. You can see here in this map also, and even in your map expert also, they have given the expansion of Delhi Sultanate. From north till south, from east to west, Delhi Sultanate was expanded. How they expand? Here you have to learn. Okay, first please understand the meaning of these two words, hinterland and garrison town. Town I just told you, fortified settlement. Means king is having a fort around it is a fortified. But it is not only that area, but king used to expand this land. Hinterland, the land adjacent to the city. Suppose there is a one city, around this city, whatever the area which is used for supply with goods and services, that is called hinterland. Now look at this. In the early 13th century, the control of the Delhi Sultans rarely went beyond the heavily fortified towns occupied by garrisons. The sultans seldom controlled the hinterland of the cities and were therefore dependent upon trade, tributes or plunders for supplies. So till 13th century, sultans have not gone beyond these fortified towns. They were ruling in that fortified towns only. But gradually they found that there is a need of controlling hinterland so they can easily get the supplies of trade, means goods, tributes or plunders for the supplies. Controlling garrison town in distant Bengal and Sindh from Delhi was extremely difficult. Rebellion, because in hinterland or nearby hinterland there were other rulers also. So there is always chances of plunder for supplies, rebellion, war, even sometimes bad weather also. Bad weather could snap fragile communication routes. So in this way they were not able to control hinterland. Delhi's authority was also challenged by Mongol invention. Means once these Turkish rulers were expanding their rule in Delhi and around area, but it was checked by Mongol invention. Invention means attack from Afghan. And by governor who rebel at any sign of the sultan's weakness. Because each and every rulers they have some weaknesses. So other rulers will take the benefit of that weaknesses and they try to control that land. The Sultanate barely survived these challenges. Its consolidation occurred during the reign of Ghiyazuddin Balban and further expansion under Alauddin Khalji and Muhammad Tughlaq. So till the 14th century, no ruler, no sultan can expand Delhi Sultanate. But in reign means rule of Ghiyazuddin Balban, then afterwards Alauddin Khalji and Muhammad Tughlaq were the powerful rulers of the Delhi Sultan, or we can say Delhi Sultanate. Now the question is how they expand. So there were two methods. Number one, first set campaigns along the internal frontier, and second, external frontier. You can underline this. They expand Delhi Sultanate by two ways. Number one, internal frontier, and second, external frontier. So now what was the internal frontier? The first set of campaigns along the internal frontier of the Sultanate aimed at consolidating the hinterland. Means what they try to, before the sultans were not able to control the hinterland. But now Ghiyazuddin Balban, Alauddin Khalji, they try to consolidate. Control hinterland of the garrison town. During these campaigns, forests were cleared. So then when gradually they started controlling hinterland, they cleared the forest and gave this land for the peasants for growing more and more crops. And now you can understand, if crops would be more, then king will get more revenue. If revenue will be high, then soldiers will get good salary. So these lands were given to peasants and agriculture was encouraged. New fortresses, garrison towns and towns were established to protect trade routes, to promote regional trade. So in this way they started controlling more and more land. They expanded their dynasties, their sultanate, and they expand agriculture. If agriculture is expanded, then more production would be there. So they can easily do trade. and along with that they started protecting trade route also. So in this way 14th 15th centuries were considered as the golden period of Delhi Sultanate. Now the second method was expansion was external frontier. The second expansion occurred along the external frontier of the Sultanate. Military expeditions into southern India started during the reign of Alauddin Khalji and culminated with the Muhammad Tughlaq. Means Khalji and Tughlaq both were brave, so they started doing military campaigns. They started attacking the nearby rulers and they controlling that rule and they capture elephants, horses, slaves. In this way, their treasury will be increased. By the end of by the end of Muhammad Tughlaq's reign, around 150 years after somewhat humble beginnings, the armies of the Delhi Sultanate had marched across the large part of the subcontinent. They had defeated rival armies and seized cities. So I told you that this was the golden period. Around 14th 15th century, 150 years or somewhat was considered as a golden period of Delhi Sultanate. They had defeated rival armies and seized cities. The Sultanate collected taxes from the peasantry and dispensed justice in its realm. Realm means their region. But how complete and effective was its control over such a vast territory? Means when it is said when rulers expand in such a vast territory, it was very difficult for one ruler to control. So gradually, what will happen? Another ruler will try to control. As I told you that it is a tradition, one ruler establish reign, then gradually uplift and then decline. Obviously decline will be there. Here you can see this is the map of Indian subcontinent. All these territories is shown that military campaign. So they attack on Gujarat also, in Yadavas also, in South also, in Bengal also, and gradually they control. This was the golden period when Delhi Sultanate was established around 80% of the territories of the Indian subcontinent. Okay students, so today we are keeping lesson till here. Hope you understand today's main topic was the expansion beyond the garrison town with two methods, internal frontier and external frontier. Right? Now you will watch the...
Hey JC, how was school?
Why do we always get homework, Dad? Today the history teacher asked us to draw a soldier belonging to the Delhi Sultanate.
So you have to draw a picture of a soldier. That should be fun.
But I don't know what a soldier would wear in the 14th century.
You can always consult your textbook and the internet for help.
But what if that isn't enough?
Don't worry, you always have your imagination.
Dad is right. Even if I don't have enough details on the soldier, I can still draw him using my imagination. Whoa, my soldier looks pretty awesome. Maybe I should get into animation. Speaking of animation, greetings, noble warrior.
Greetings from the Delhi Sultanate. I am Marhan.
I'm eager to know about the Delhi Empire. Could you tell me something about it?
I am a soldier. I will only be able to tell you about military conquest and expansion of the Sultanate.
Sounds cool.
Until the early 13th century, the Delhi Sultanate only had control over garrison towns.
What are garrison towns?
They are fortified towns occupied by soldiers.
Wow. So the Delhi Sultans had full control of garrison towns, huh?
Actually, no. The problem was that the sultans were not able to control the hinterlands of garrison towns.
Hinterlands?
Yes. They are lands next to a city or port that supply it with goods and services.
So if the sultans control hinterlands, they would have access to a lot of goods.
Correct. But since they did not control hinterlands, the sultans had to depend on trade, tribute, and even plunder for supply of goods.
What was stopping the sultans from expanding their control?
Communication between Delhi and garrison towns in far-off places like Bengal was very difficult. Bad weather and war would snap communication routes. There were other problems like Mongol invasions. The Mongols attempted to invade India frequently. The Sultanate had no option but to counter these attacks.
I see. All of this made expansion of the Delhi Sultanate difficult. You look tired, Arhan. Why don't you have a seat? After all, you aren't working right now.
That is very kind of you. Thank you. I have been working very hard.
So when did the Sultanate finally manage to expand its empire?
The empire was expanded during the reigns of Ghiyasuddin Balban, Alauddin Khilji, and Muhammad Tughlaq.
How did they manage to expand the empire?
Expansion occurred both internally and externally.
Internally? Externally?
Don't worry. I will explain them to you one by one. In order to expand the empire internally, the sultans gained control of the hinterlands. Forest lands around the Ganga-Yamuna belt were cleared and hunter-gatherers were removed from there.
Removed?
Yes, but the lands were given to peasants so that cultivation could be carried out. This would help promote regional trade.
So the sultans were trying to make their towns prosperous?
That's right. The sultans also built new towns and fortresses and ensured that trade routes were well protected. Now, let me tell you how the empire expanded externally. For the external expansion, military expeditions were carried out in South India.
Were these carried out by the sultans you mentioned earlier?
The military expeditions began with Alauddin Khilji and ended with Muhammad Tughlaq. Sultanate armies captured elephants, horses, slaves, and collected precious metals from the cities that they seized.
So in this way, the sultanate was successful in expanding the empire externally?
Yes, the Delhi Sultanate, which was so small, became a very powerful empire by the 14th century. What's that sound all about?
It's the church bell ringing. It says it's 6 p.m. now.
6 p.m.? It means sunset. I must leave for my namaz at the masjid now.
Namaz?
Namaz is the prayer that Muslims recite together in the masjid.
What's a masjid?
You have heard of a mosque, haven't you? A mosque is called a masjid in Arabic.
You had mosque in the 14th century?
During the expansion of the Delhi Sultanate, several mosques were built by the rulers.
How would that help the sultanate?
The sultans wanted to show that they were protectors of Islam. That is why they built so many mosques.
Was there any other reason for the prevalence of mosques?
Mosques also created the feeling of a community among followers of Islam who shared the same beliefs and code of conduct.
I don't understand.
You see, Muslims came from a variety of backgrounds, and the sultans believed that mosques would create a feeling of unity.
I see. Are there any famous mosques?
Of course, there are the Quwwat-ul-Islam Mosque, the Motki Masjid, and the Begumpuri Mosque, to name a few. I better leave now, otherwise I will be late.
All right. It was great meeting you, Arhan.
Did you finish your drawing for history, JC?
Yeah, Dad.
Then what are you drawing now?
I'm not drawing, Dad. I'm making battle plans
Battle plans? For what?
to expand my empire, and I'm gonna start by taking over Jadip's room.